Don't you want to let Boo out of the room? Boo's going to walk out of the door and you're going to be fine, Nancy. He's not going to bother you, okay?
Stella, Splash, Simba, Boo, Sammy, Richard, Nancy, Goldie, Ziggy, Ringo, Eva, Hydrox, and Ditto, the Lucky Ferals.
It is 10 a.m. It is so loud outside right now because the landscapers just showed up. Meanwhile, the cats were eating their breakfast so nicely, and they all ran away. I had to move everyone over here and shut some doors. It's not just one leaf blower outside, it's like multiple leaf blowers outside at the same time, so it's like crazy right now. There's Simba. I had to put a few crunchies on their food to get them to want to eat more. It is 1:15 p.m. and here is Richard. He's relaxing in this cat bed from Sharon. And I don't know where the rest of the cats are. Boo is in the kitchen with me, and I was going to show you Boo, but every time I put the camera on him, he wants to move. So it's hard to film Boo. And so that's why we're looking at Richard right now. Richard's like, don't bother me. Here's Ringo. He's on top of the cat tower in my room. And there's Simba. He's on top of the armoire. That has been his favorite spot for the past few days. Like, he'll eat his breakfast, and then the next thing I know, he goes up there to the armoire. He's like, I get first dibs. And he's just been enjoying his time up there, luxuriating in one of the cat beds. Here's Ringo, and I'm just about to leave. I have to go to the poultry farm, and I hate going to the poultry farm. I can't stand it. If it was like a nice, more idyllic farm setting, then I wouldn't mind it so much. Like if it was just a nice property and I felt like the chickens and turkeys were, free roaming on a pasture or whatever they do. But it's not like that at all. It's pretty much in a suburban area and it's just like a building, several buildings actually. And I just feel like I get out of my car and I just smell death. And then I walk into the little store that they have there. And they have like freezer sections and they don't just sell, the birds that they slaughter there. They sell other items also. But I feel like I walk in and you just smell blood and you just smell death. And I just hate going there. And if it wasn't for these cats, I would not go there. If it wasn't for these cats, I would be living a very happy vegan lifestyle, most likely. But because of these cats, now I'm going to a poultry farm once a month to pick up turkey parts and chicken parts, and then I'm grinding up all kinds of raw meat. Here's Boo. Boo says, thank you very much for doing that for us. Okay, Boo, but you gotta eat it, okay? You gotta eat it. He's been so finicky lately. Also, I need to pick up some more Tiki Cat for him because he really loves the Tiki Cat sardines. I don't know why, because in the past he was never a big fan of them, but recently he is. It's 8:10 a.m. Here's Boo, and Nancy was right here with Boo. I was going to show you the two of them together, but Nancy moved. Here's Stella, and let me tell you what Stella did to me last night. Stella slept on my head. Yep, halfway through the night, I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I felt a cat walking around on the bed. And then all of a sudden I felt a cat walking on my pillow. And then all of a sudden I felt a cat lay down on top of my head. And it was Stella. Hey, Stella. I don't think I've ever had one of the cats do that before. They usually sleep on different areas of the bed. Maybe once or twice before, maybe Simba did something like that. But when Simba does something like that, it usually means he's trying to wake me up and he wants crunchies. And then he will proceed to headbutt me and paw at me while I'm trying to sleep, which will eventually wake me up. But Stella did not do that. Stella just laid down and slept there. And then I went back to sleep for probably like 3 hours. And then we woke up. Here's Splash. He's still in bed. So today I have to make homemade raw food. I went to the farm yesterday and I bought 18 pounds of ingredients. And then I went to the supermarket and then I bought a whole bunch of chicken and chicken parts. And I get that at the supermarket just because it's way cheaper than the farm. Then today I need to make the raw food. And I normally wait until the afternoon until I do that. But I'm thinking I am going to do it this morning and kind of just like get it out of the way. It normally takes me a few hours from the time I start to the time everything is cleaned up because I'll be making about 3 or 4 weeks worth of food. So that's the situation. The cats are completely out of homemade raw food. And they've been eating it once a day because Boo has been so finicky and he really wants to eat canned food more. So they've been getting raw food for breakfast and then canned food for dinner. And I also did that because of the HVAC installation last week. And I had so much going on that I needed to kind of make the raw food stretch out until this week so that I would have more time in my schedule because it does take some time for me to go to the farm, buy all the ingredients. That's why I do that on one day. And then today, it'll be a few hours to make the food. So I have to kind of make sure I have room in my schedule for that. Here's Boo. He's hanging out with the toys. So years ago, what I used to have to do for Boo is I used to have to mix in some canned food into his raw food. I remember having to do that for quite a while. Like all the cats would eat the raw food, and I would always have to mix some canned food into his raw food, and then he would eat it. So maybe he's reverting back to his old ways. So I'm going to start doing that soon also and see how he does with that. It is 9:30 a.m. As you can see, there's multiple cat toys on right now. And I put that Fling-a-String cat toy on for the cats. Boo and Simba have been watching it. Nancy's walking around. I know she wants to play with it. But her and Simba just got into a little altercation, nothing much, just a little growling and warning. It is 10:10 a.m. and here's Nancy. She's eating some breakfast. The cats are having canned food today, and this is the Merrick beef pate versus the Wholehearted chicken and beef liver pate. They also have some crunchies. And Nancy's eating here. Boo and Stella are in the kitchen. Simba's in the living room. Splash is in the dining room. They're all over the house today. And Nancy's been interacting with the cats this morning. And I actually think it's good for the cats to have Nancy here because she has not been ambushing them and she does keep them on their toes. Like she keeps them more active than they would be otherwise because, you know, they're kind of settled in their ways. And Boo had the zoomies this morning, and Splash and Simba were playing this morning. Stella could use more activity, and I try to play with Stella more. But with Nancy around, she definitely keeps Stella more active than Stella would be without Nancy around. It would be really nice if Nancy and Stella became good friends and, played with each other and stuff like that. But just in general, I think Nancy keeps the cats on their toes. And Simba has been making really big progress with Nancy as far as not being afraid of her and just standing his ground if he doesn't like something she's doing. So just a little while ago, Nancy was here and Simba, literally, he just walked past her and then he walked into the kitchen. And in the past, he would not have done that. And he walked right past her. He wasn't stressed out. He wasn't afraid. He looked at her and he kind of glared a little bit like, yes, I'm walking past you. What are you going to do about it? Kind of thing. And everything was fine. So I think Simba's definitely making really good progress with the members of the Lucky Seven. And I mean, other than Richard occasionally jumping on one of the other cats, things have been really good. So sometimes it just takes time for the cats to kind of figure things out amongst themselves. Here's Boo and Stella. And it looks like Boo is enjoying the Wholehearted pate more so than the Merrick. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. He's also enjoying some crunchies. He had a meaty stick this morning, or at least part of a meaty stick. So he has no problem eating the meaty stick. And I cut it into like 3 pieces for him, so it's not like one big thing that he's going to swallow whole. The problem that he has, because he's missing his front teeth and his front fangs, is that sometimes food falls out of his mouth, and that's what happened with a piece of the meaty stick. Like, he ate part of it, and then the other half just like fell out of his mouth. And I was like, okay, Boo, here it is. You could get it. And he couldn't really pick it up off the floor with his mouth, so I picked it up with my hand, and then he's like, yeah, I don't want it anymore. So I think he needs to get used to eating, without those front teeth. I think he's still figuring some of that out. It is 7 p.m. And here's Simba. He's hanging out in this cat tower in Boo's room. And here's Ziggy. She was hanging out with Simba today, but she saw the camera and then she moved. There's Sammy. All the cats are kind of looking for dinner. Hello, Sammy. But I just got home, and that's the kind of day I had today. I thought I was going to make homemade food for the cats this morning and then get other things done. But no, it's 7 p.m. I haven't even started making homemade food for the cats yet, because it was the kind of day where all kinds of unexpected things kept popping up. And then I had to run to my office and take care of a problem there. And before I knew it, I was just getting home at 7 p.m. I'm going to give the cats some dry cat food. They're just going to have crunchies for dinner. And I'm going to start making the homemade raw. And that's what I'm doing tonight. Right, Sammy? It is 7:35 a.m. Good morning, Boo. How are you today, Boo? It rained last night. We got a lot of rain last night, right, Boo? The last time we got rain was a few weeks ago, and we only got a little bit of rain, and we got a good amount of rain last night, so that's really good. Good morning, Splash. Splash lets me pet him like this sometimes now. It used to be that I could only pet Splash like on his own terms, but now sometimes he lets me pet him like this. The colors outside right now are just absolutely amazing. Like, the camera does not even do it justice. You can see how the grass by the woods is just completely burnt out. It looks like straw this year. It's never been like this before. This year, I'm going to be trying an artificial Christmas tree again. And I got this at Target a few weeks ago. The original price on it was $85, which I thought was good. It's a 7.5-foot tree. And then they had 30% off on top of it, which brought the price down to $59.50. And I was like, wow, that's a great price for an artificial tree. Even if it's not like, the most amazing tree for that price, I think it's a good deal. So I purchased it, and it's been sitting in the back of my car. I never even took it out of the car. And I brought it in yesterday because I had to bring a bunch of stuff over to my office, and I had to make room for it. And then what happened was yesterday on the way home from my office, I decided to pop into Target. I have no idea why. I was like, something was just like, okay, go to Target. So I went to Target and I was walking around and I was looking at the Christmas trees. They had only a fraction of them left from a few weeks ago. And I noticed that this tree was now 50% off. And I was like, wait a minute, it's only $42 now? I paid like $59.50. So what I did was I opened up my Target app and I opened the receipt for the tree to make sure it was the same one and to make sure what I paid. And then I went to customer service and I asked for a price match. And they gave me the price match. So I got almost $20 back. And I think most of their customers don't even know that you can do that because there were quite a few people online behind me and I heard them talking and they're like, oh, we didn't know you could do that. And yeah, so if you go to Target And if you buy something there, and then if you notice that the price goes lower within the next few weeks, you can go and get a price match on it. And they'll give you your money back. So they just refunded the money on my credit card. And so I'm really happy that I got this 7.5 foot unlit Christmas tree for only $42. Like, how can you go wrong with that? Even if it's not perfect, even if it's not the most amazing tree, it's $42. Now, I've always gotten real trees, live trees, and I love a live tree, but they do require a good amount of work because they have to be watered every day and the needles do drop. So, they need to be cleaned up occasionally, but I'm hoping this could help save me time. However, I did get it early enough that if I put it together and if I decide I don't like it for whatever reason and I still want a real tree, then what I could do with this is either not use it, put it back in the box and put it in my storage room and save it for the future, or I could even put it downstairs for the lucky 7 and they could have a Christmas tree down there. So those are my options, and I think for $42, that's a great deal. It's 9 a.m. Here's Boo. And here's Nancy. She wanted to come upstairs. Nancy wanted to come upstairs at 4:30 a.m. I woke up to the sound of meowing, meowing, meowing by the kitchen door. And I was like, I am not getting out of bed. I am not opening that door. And thankfully, I was just able to tune it out and continue sleeping because I ended up staying up pretty late making the homemade raw cat food. So I didn't start making that until after 8 p.m. and I didn't finish until almost 11 p.m. And by the time I cleaned up and everything and went to bed, it was after midnight. And so that's why I was like, yeah, I'm not getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And I just did some math. So I made 25 meals for 11 cats. And that is the equivalent of 109 of the 5.5 ounce cans of cat food. Or if I was going to buy 3 ounce cans of cat food, that's the equivalent of 200 3 ounce cans of cat food. So I made a lot of food yesterday, and it's going to last us for several weeks. And it definitely saves me money when I make my own cat food versus purchasing the cat food. Because if I was buying like 109 of the 5.5 ounce cans, the cheapest cans I would buy would be Friskies, which are, I think they're like 76 cents, but the cats are not going to eat that every meal. They might get that as a snack. If I purchase the Wholehearted cat food, that's like $1.20 a can. And if I was going to get the Merrick, it's like $2.40 a can. So if Friskies is like 76 cents a can, plus $1.20 a can for the Wholehearted, plus $2.40 a can for the Merrick, that's $4.36 divided by 3. That gives me an average price of $1.45 per can if the cats were eating an equal amount of Friskies, which they don't eat that often, Wholehearted, or Merrick. But I don't think that's accurate because they don't eat Friskies that much at all. What the Lucky 7 do eat is the Nature's Promise that I get at a local supermarket, and that is $1.20 a can, which is the same price as the Wholehearted from Petco. So let's just go with that. Let's go with $1.20 plus $2.40 for like the Merrick. So that's $3.60 divided by 2. That gives me an average price of $1.80 per can of food. So some of the food that I buy is $1.20 a can. Some of the food that I buy is like $2.40 a can. On average, that makes it $1.80 a can. So I made 109 cans of food. That means I would have spent $196 on canned cat food. I spent $61 at the supermarket for some of the ingredients. That brings us down to $135. Then I spent $71 at the poultry farm. So that means I saved $64.20 when I made this homemade cat food. And that's based off of paying $1.80 for a 5.5 ounce can of food. But what I forgot when I calculated that is tax, because when I purchase cans of cat food, I have to pay 6.625% sales tax on that. And I don't have to pay that when I make my own raw food because they don't charge sales tax on food here, but they do charge sales tax on pet food. So based on $1.80 a can, I saved $64.20. And let's just say it took me 3 hours to make this food. That means I saved myself $21.40 an hour. So we can consider like that's how much I got paid per hour of making homemade cat food. And I think that's a good time cost for doing that. That's definitely above minimum wage around here. Now let's take $1.80 and multiply it by the sales tax. It's actually $1.92 per can is what I pay. So $1.92 times 109 is $209.28. Now let's subtract $61 from the supermarket, and then let's subtract the $71 from the poultry farm. So I'm actually saving $77.28. Now let's divide that by 3. And my time cost is $25.76 per hour. So it's definitely worth my time to make my own homemade cat food versus having to purchase it. Now, some people will say, well, it actually takes time to go out and buy the ingredients. And I'll say, yes, it does. But it also actually takes time if I was to go out and buy the cans of cat food. So I would consider that the same amount of time, because what I do is I go buy the ingredients while I'm doing my own food shopping. For example, when I bought the ingredients at the supermarket, I was already doing my own shopping. And when I go to the poultry farm, I run additional errands at the same time. So it's not like I'm making the trip just to do that. I always stack my errands. So I'm getting other things done at the same time. So I think that is negligible. And of course, if I wanted to save even more money, I could buy cheaper ingredients to use in the cat food. So for the ingredients that I buy at the poultry farm, which is the chicken necks, the chicken livers, the chicken hearts, I could actually buy those cheaper in local supermarkets, but I'm not going to get them fresher than I can get at the poultry farm. So I sacrifice a little bit of savings for the freshness of the ingredients, but that would definitely save me probably at least $1 a pound on all of those ingredients. And I buy the boneless turkey thighs at the poultry farm. And if I was to use like cheaper supermarket turkey for that, that would save me money also. It is 8:30 a.m. and here's Stella. Good morning, Stella. It rained all day yesterday and it rained all night. And it's still really rainy this morning. And here's Boo. Good morning, Boo. How are you? Boo wants some pets. So we had a bit of an eventful night last night because Nancy wanted to stay upstairs. And right as I was going to bed, she decided that she was going to chase Simba. And Simba, he likes to scream, like he's a screamer. So he screamed as she chased him to like down the hallway and into the dining room. However, I looked at her body language the whole time. Her tail was straight in the air and she was obviously trying to play with him. And that's what it looked like. And when Simba got into the dining room, he went under the dining room table and he did not look like he was stressed out from it. Like, he looked like he was starting to understand that, okay, she's just trying to play. But Splash, who was in the living room at the time, came running to rescue Simba when he heard Simba screaming. So Splash goes running into the dining room where Nancy and Simba are. And Splash is getting ready to, take retaliation on Nancy. Well, Boo was in the dining room at the same time. And Boo jumped off of the cat tower that he was on. His tail was all big and he was ready to get himself into a fight also. But he was more like trying to figure out like what was going on. So he was just standing there like trying to figure it out. Right, Boo? So I tried to reassure everyone that Nancy was just playing. But she got freaked out by, Splash and Boo thinking about retaliating. So she ran down the hall and into my bedroom and under my bed. But Boo was all freaked out. His tail was all big. And then he decided that he was going to get into a fight with Splash. I don't know if he thought Splash was doing something or what. But the next thing I know, he chases Splash into this room, the living room, and starts attacking Splash. And I had to break that one up. And it was one of those things where even when you start yelling at them to stop, they just keep going. So I had to like physically get between them, which is not always the best thing to do. And then they moved apart. But Boo had the giant tail for quite some time. Like he was really freaked out. So I was able to lure Boo into his room. And then I shut the door. I was like, okay, Boo, you stay in your room tonight and everything will be fine. And the reason why I did that is because Nancy was under my bed and I didn't think I was going to get her out. And it was already like after midnight at this point. I was really tired. I wanted to go to bed. So that's what happened. I fell asleep. And then at 1:30 in the morning, I woke up to the sound of a cat fight. And I knew right away it had to deal with Nancy and Simba because I heard Simba screaming. He has this really high-pitched scream. And what happened that time is Nancy went straight downstairs. So when Nancy does something like that, she either wants to hide under my bed or she wants to go downstairs. And that time she wanted to go downstairs. So I was like, okay, you go downstairs. So then I let Boo out of his room because I was like, there's no reason for him to be in his room. And then I went back to bed. And that's what happened last night. And that is why the Lucky 7 have to be separated from the OG4 at night. So everyone could get sleep and the house can be peaceful. And this is just like Nancy. That was one night with Nancy. Now, sometimes Nancy stays up here at night and there are not any problems, but sometimes there are. And if all of the members of the Lucky 7 were upstairs with the OG4, I mean, multiply the chances of something happening during the night by 7. So that is what happened last night. So I have a question for you because I know that there are quite a few people who watch these videos who also have large cat families, who have multiple cat households. My question to you is, how do you do it? How do you manage your multiple cat household? What are your secrets? How do you keep things running smoothly? How do you keep chaos from happening? How do you keep all of the cats getting along together? And how do you make sure that you have enough time in your day, enough hours in your day to meet everyone's needs, including your own? So please leave a comment below and let me know. Here's Simba. He's on top of the armoire. He says, "Don't disturb me. I'm still sleeping." And here's Splash. This is his favorite chair recently. I don't know why he likes this chair so much. Maybe because of the location, because it's kind of near an area that gets a lot of traffic. How you doing, Splash? It's 9 a.m. and Boo just took his vitamins. He has not been wanting to eat these in weeks. And I was like, I don't know why, because Boo usually likes anything that's like a treat or a crunchy. But he just ate some today. I'm really proud of him. And he got on the cat tower, and it says he gained 2 ounces. Good job, Boo. He's still not eating his homemade raw food the way that he should be eating it. And I totally forgot to defrost some for breakfast today. So they're going to have canned food again. Here's Stella. Stella, you want me to put the toy on for you? You want this toy on? There, I just put it on for you. They like it when it's on the ground more so than when it's on the door. It's 11 a.m. and I just got a major accomplishment done. So I have been wanting to get Capstar into Goldie, Eva, and Ringo. There's Ringo right now. And I've been waiting for a good day to do it. So I decided today was the day. That way I could just cross it off my list of things that I need to do. So I had some playtime with the Lucky 7 with the laser pointer. There's Goldie. And I made sure that they had a really good exercise session. Then what I did was I got some of the sliced turkey. And I was going to wrap the pills up in the sliced turkey, but then I realized, well, this is the wrong turkey. I bought the wrong kind. This kind doesn't let you do that. So I said, I'm going to open up a can of Friskies. And I divided it 6 ways because Nancy already ate her breakfast upstairs. And I believe it was the chicken and liver pate. And then I just hid the Capstar into 3 of the little pieces. Here's little Eva. And I put a little treat on the little plates that had the Capstar so I knew which was which. And the cats were so hungry that they ate it. So here's Ringo. He was the last to finish, but I made sure that all the plates did not have little Capstars left, and none of them did. So now I'm going to give them more breakfast because they had such a tiny bit. I mean, they each had like 1/6. They each had like 1/6 of a can of cat food, along with a few bites of the turkey, but it worked. Little Eva's still hungry. She's looking for more food, so I'm going to give them another can or 2, split amongst the 6 of them. Now they're splitting a can of Tiki Cat sardines and also some of the wholehearted salmon pate. Some of them are distracted with other things they're not eating right now. That's fine, as long as I got the pills in. The reason why I wanted to give the 3 of them Capstar is because I cannot flea comb them. The cats that I can flea comb, there have not been any fleas recently. Like Nancy had, I think, 1 or 2 stray fleas the other day. But other than that, I mean, it's day after day after day, no fleas. So I know we're pretty much done with flea season. But with those 3, with Goldie, Eva, and Ringo, I cannot flea comb them. So if they have any remaining fleas on them, I want to kill the remaining fleas. And that's why I wanted to just do 1 more round of Capstar, and then we can call the season over and done. Here's Boo. He's in his room. I wanted to show you him sitting on this blanket because it was so funny. Of course, the minute I turn the camera on, he moves. These cats are too smart. So I put Boo in here with his food. And here's the sardine side. And then they had, I think it was flaked beef, the wholehearted flaked beef. And for Boo, I put a bunch of crunchies on it. So he ate some of his food, but not nearly as much as I thought he would, or he should have. And the reason why I have to put Boo in his room with the food sometimes like this is because Stella was eating it. Now, Boo could gain a pound, and Stella needs to lose a pound. So that's why I have to juggle the 2 of them, because when Boo does not want to eat something, Stella is more than happy to swoop in and eat it. Here's Boo about 15 minutes later. So what I did was I started giving him a churro, and then I was like, I'm going to put it on his food, see what he does. This is his food after he had a churro on it, so he definitely ate more of his food. Good boy, Boo. Now the door's open, and you could come out if you want to come out. I hear Nancy. Hello, Nancy. Don't you want to let Boo out of the room? Boo's going to walk out of the door, and you're going to be fine, Nancy. He's not going to bother you, okay? Go ahead, Boo. That was okay, right, Nancy? No problems there, right, Nancy? Thank you for watching this Lucky Ferals video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you'd like me to post more videos, and please make sure to check out these other videos that were selected especially for you.